Lana, 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 Lana. Who do I look like? Lana, who do I look like?
This is an Archer thing. I don't get it. I don't get the reference. I watched one episode, Matt.
So the episode that I gave you, I thought, like, first of all, the episode I gave you was great.
Yeah.
And secondly, I'm Matt.
I'm Brian.
This is TV, guys. Get that out of the way. I thought the episode I had, because I rewatched it again, I'm like, oh, this doesn't have like my favorite line of the whole series, because he loves Burt Reynolds, as you caught from your episode. And there was a different episode where it talks about how much he looks like Burt Reynolds, because he does a little bit of that in this one too. But he keeps talking about, oh, I look like this. I look like Burt Reynolds. And then finally he does something like so successful at the end of the episode. Mm-hmm. And he's like, say it, Lana. Who do I look like? She's like, fine, you look like Burt Reynolds in Deliverance. He's like, no, not in Deliverance. My favorite line out of all of Archer.
That's funny.
But we are here to talk about Archer. We're here to talk about Saved by the Bell. Two drastically different shows.
And I'm also here to eat a bowl of strawberries.
He's here to eat a bowl of strawberries. That's what you're getting. Welcome back. Hey, you're in that fun, sweet time between Thanksgiving and Christmas. You enjoying it? You having fun? You got all your presents yet? Do you not? I don't know.
Or are you an adult where it's just, you still have to go to work every day, so nothing's really changed?
There's just more snow on the ground, and I have to listen to the same songs over and over.
Mm-hmm.
If you work retail, those Christmas songs can get to you.
They can. There's such a wide variety of good Christmas songs. Like, why do you play the same four?
Yes. I like some Christmas songs. I have like my own Christmas set. When I was growing up, my dad actually worked for Mannheim Steamroller, who was like they were like the Christmas god before Michael Bublé came along, and then he was dethroned by, I don't know, Mariah Carey, even though she just has the one song everyone. I don't know who's like the Christmas music guy now, but it was Mannheim Steamroller a lot when I was a kid. And
for a while it was Josh Groban, but then I feel like he's not famous anymore. Like no one talks about him anymore. Like
Josh
the early 2010s is when he was like at his peak.
And Josh Groban, we don't raise you up anymore. We don't. No. But yeah, I got to see Mannheim Steamroller every year in concert. That was just part of our Christmas thing, because also they were based out of Omaha, and so that was where they would end their tour. It would be in Omaha. We'd go see it Christmas week. It was wonderful. So that's Christmas to me.
I didn't think through this bowl of strawberries because, for one thing, my lips are chapped and it's kind of making it sting, and then the cat's obsessed with strawberries, so he's like getting in my face.
Come on, cat. I also didn't think through exactly what day. I'm still thinking that this is posting on December 9th and it's posting on December 2nd. So you're not like smack dab in the middle of Christmas season. It's only been a week since Thanksgiving. You made it through Black Friday. Good job, everyone. You survived.
Yeah.
Which Black Friday isn't the same thing as it used to be either. Yeah, these kids these days are ruining our Black Friday. In my day, you would get trampled over and you'd be happy about it.
I don't know what to say.
That's all we've got. All right, that's the end of the episode. No, so we did what we like to do. Brian and I, we have fun doing this, where we pick a show that the other person hasn't watched and give them an episode. And I gave Brian, what was it, Pipeline Fever, and Brian gave me Cut Day from Saved by the Bell. So, Brian, who do you want me to go first? You want to go first?
Let's see here. I'll go first. Give me 1 second here.
All right. Archer. I love it. I always love talking about Archer.
So Archer's a show I'd always heard of, and I always thought I would like it. I never really knew what it was about. So I watched it, and by the way, your Archer impression was very good. Like I could have believed that was H. John Benjamin.
Oh, I love it. That is like one of the best compliments you've ever given to me.
There you go. So it starts out him and also I'm going to correct you on something that you've said wrong, like throughout this entire podcast, going back to way early episodes. It's Aisha Tyler. You always say Aisha Taylor. I
do. You are correct. I didn't realize I was wrong, but now I know. Thanks for this is like, someone's got a smudge on their face. You're eating with them. You're like, I'm not gonna say anything. I'm gonna be too nice. And then they just go and they walk all over and go to like a job interview and to a funeral and all these things.
I don't know why, but she's come up in so many episodes, and I'm always like, oh, he said it wrong. I forget.
Yeah, Aisha Tutler.
Much better. So
I'm just gonna like butcher it even more from now on purpose.
Okay, Archer and is she Lana?
Yes, she is
Okay.
Lana.
Archer and Lana are on a plane. They're going to. I was a little fuzzy. So they're getting hired by some company to stop someone who's like destroying the environment. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, he's not destroying the environment. He's destroying the people that, in his mind, are destroying the environment, which is a pipeline in Florida.
Yeah.
For this specific instance.
And basically, they're trying to be discreet, and yet he's like talking back to the what's it called? I said life
Stewardess?
attendant, flight attendant.
The plane. I attend planes.
And then he's being super rude and like ask for drinks, and he's like, "Hey, look at this! I have a gun." And then like the marshal has his gun. He thinks it's a carjacking, and he basically makes a big scene showcasing what a jerk he is. And they're like, all right,
that's every episode.
This is the show. Yeah, I got the feeling. I think this would be a hard show to watch because he, for the most part, is so unlikable. Even though they try to like humanize him a little bit towards the end,
he's unlikable in like the same way Homer Simpson is unlikable. Because Homer Simpson also is like his own worst enemy and like is so obnoxious to people, but he's really funny.
But Homer Simpson is not smart enough to really cause any real damage.
That's fair.
Even though he works at a nuclear power plant.
Yeah, safety. He's dumb enough to cause severe damage.
Yeah. Anyway, so they get there, and basically Jessica Walter's character is basically just Lucille Bluth in cartoon form.
Yep.
And so there's this company, and it's this weird thing where like they all want the same thing, but for different reasons. Like they want to make everything green and to save the environment because then their company gets like good publicity and tax credits and all that kind of stuff. They don't actually care about the environment. Whereas Lana's like
just like every corporation that there is.
Pretty much. I was thinking of Community when the dean's like, we're changing our name to Envirodale. And they're like, we were already called Greendale.
I think of 30 Rock. One of the few jokes I can remember of 30 Rock when they have like the green peacock logo in the bottom left because they used to do that for NBC. Makes a joke about like, oh, I thought that's all that they did for their awareness or whatever, and Kenneth just kind of looks down at it like, it's right there.
Yeah, and when they also then they do an episode where David Schwimmer was Greenzo.
Oh yes, I remember that.
Anyways, back to Archer, and so this company, they just want it for the publicity and all this kind of stuff. And Lana wants to save the environment because she actually wants to save the environment. And there's one where she's screaming at them like, "Okay, I will do my job, but you suck," and blah blah blah, whatever. And they go and they commandeer and what's it called? Like a boat plane, a plane boat, airboat, which I didn't know was a thing. I'm not up on the. It's like a wind fan motor thing that makes the boat go.
I'm surprised you've never seen one of those. Like I can understand you haven't seen it in person, but to have not ever seen it outside of that.
Maybe I have in something, but so they're going around there trying to find, because they find out that it's going to be like somewhere on this like 100-mile stretch, and they got to go investigate and try to find this guy who's responsible.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course he's just doing all these tricks and making it go fast. He blows the engine, and then he realizes that he doesn't. Everything he does is basically him not caring and making things worse.
Yep.
He destroys the boat. Also, they realized he brought a cooler of beer with no water, and the ice was dry ice, so it burns Lana's hands. And then an alligator shows up. He shoots the alligator and somehow manages to shoot the boat. So then they're stranded. An alligator's on the loose. They have no water. Her hands are burned, and like this is when they actually get into like a decent conversation about like their fears. And he starts spitting out all these crocodile and alligator facts. It turns out his like number 1 and 2 greatest fears are crocodiles and alligators. And like as ridiculous as it is, it kind of humanizes him a little bit because it shows like he actually does care about some things. He actually does have some worries in life. And then he's like, oh, the third one is a brain aneurysm because it could happen at any time.
I love that. It's like, how did you face a brain? Because he's like, I faced my fears doing this because he had to wade through the water. Yeah. It's like, well, how'd you face your fear of brain aneurysms? Because they can happen at any time, Lana. That's why they're so scary.
Yeah. So technically, we're all facing brain aneurysms right now.
Yes, that's true. You guys are brave out there.
Yeah. I'm not going to say anything more on the off chance that someone is going to have a brain aneurysm. not because of us. Well, you just said it could happen anytime, anywhere.
Yeah, you got a point there.
I got stung last summer. I got stung.
Where do we go? Why do we just go these weird locations with our conversations?
I don't know. Like last summer, I got stung by a bee twice on the earlobe.
I got stung by a bee in the eye when I was wearing sunglasses. It flew up into my sunglasses, made me freak out. I smacked myself in the face, so it turned me against myself, and then also stung my eye. What a jerk.
So you couldn't let me have my cool earlobe story. You had to one-up it immediately.
I don't think you even got to the end of your earlobe story, did you?
Well, the only thing I was saying is that I was listening to a different podcast, and I was listening to the same podcast both times. So I was like, dang, bees do not like this guy.
Man, so yeah, your earlobe. How about that?
Yeah. But now no one cares because it's much cooler to get stung by the eye through your glasses.
And to make me turn against myself.
Yeah. Then the episode ends. They end up getting confronted by the guy they were trying to meet, and turns out it's an old activist friend and boyfriend of Lana's. And I'm trying to remember, how did it end? Like he decided he wasn't gonna do what he's gonna do. He just wanted to get back at Lana for quitting and joining this organization.
Yeah, I can't remember. It was actually like Archer's big rant that he had on the plane, that the environmentalist terrorist guy was also on the plane and heard the whole plan. And I don't remember what he said like caused him to be like, oh, maybe I'm not going to do this one. But that he ends up not wanting to go through with his plan.
Yeah. So it seems like a kind of a cop-out answer a little bit because they didn't do anything to stop it. None of their plans worked, but ended up, the environment. I forget what he was going to do. He was going to do something to pollute the river.
I think it was to blow up the pipeline because it's polluting.
It's called Pipeline, whatever. What's the episode called again? Pipeline something?
Pipeline Fever.
Pipeline Fever. I swear I watched the episode, guys.
What else? Something happened in here.
Well, there's also a weird subplot. There's these two ladies who work at the company. One of them is voiced by Judy Greer, and the other one, I'm not sure who the other one is. But there's this weird runner about how they didn't want the one lady to know they had a women's restroom because, like, she destroys toilets.
Oh, Pam. Yeah.
Like, is that a running gag in the show?
No, it is. The running gag is pretty much Pam's general lack of decency as a human being. Okay. Actually, that's all of them. See, that we talked last week. We had an episode about, no, it wasn't last week, but we talked recently enough, an episode about like casts that they're all unlikable. And this is a show that every single person in real life would really, truly be unlikable. And sometimes they're annoying on the show, but mostly, like, apart from Aisha Tyler, her character, like, no one has really anything that is all that redeeming about them, but yet they're so funny.
It is true. Like, I don't know. Part of it is just because I like H. John Benjamin, and part of it, I don't know, it's just the show was interesting. I could see myself watching more of Archer, but I could see myself having a hard time because Archer is so unlikable.
Yeah, he's better in other episodes because he also gets a bit of comeuppance. Like, he brings things upon himself. And so, he goes through his ringers and he goes through like his own little suffering that happens just because he's ruined so much, but at the same time, he's really good at winging it. And so he always ends up finding a way out of it. There's a lot of different episodes that I kind of wanted to give to you. There was one, like, there was that 3-parter that I had said that was essentially like him trying to run away from ISIS. And the Patrick Warburton is a guy that they bring in to catch him and bring him back to ISIS. And so, and by the way, this show came out before ISIS was a terrorist group. So, I mean, it was still running. I mean, it's still running today. So I don't remember. They did something where they changed the name of the organization or something, but not good timing to have.
Yeah. I was wondering if that was like a joke about that.
I think they made jokes about it too when they were deciding to change it, and they're like, well, let's just lean into it.
Yeah. And then there was a funny joke when they're talking about Jessica Walter's character wanted to make the company like green. And I think one thing we could do is recycle batteries. And it's like, we do that, right? And the lady's like, and it does a cutaway scene of them pouring batteries down a garbage disposal. And the one lady's like, why do we even have a car battery? And like, we kind of do that. Like, Like none of that makes any sense.
Yep, and again, that's the show. It's so funny. Why I picked this episode, apart from it like really making me laugh, is it really had a good dynamic of getting to see the true Archer Lana relationship. You know, there are some things that happen that, you know, they share things and some things that humanize them, but it really is, it's a love-hate relationship that is super antagonistic. And the thing that makes Archer better than many shows that I watch is that they do such a good job writing banter. The banter in this show is like phenomenal. There was this one episode when I remember a great quote where Archer's character goes up to Cyril house in the apartment, and you know, early in the first season, he's dating Lana. And so, you know, Cyril and Lana there, and they're like, oh, we're having tacos. It is Tuesday after all. We do Taco Tuesday. On Fridays, we always have stir fry. You know what we call it? And then Archer's like, Stir Friday. And he's like, actually, that's better.
I like that.
I didn't do it service as you just sit there not laughing, not responding to the joke.
No, I was responding. I was more focused because I had a runny nose. But like, just a peek behind the curtain. Sometimes I'll edit out my disgusting body noises. So Matt gets to hear
That's
them.
a nice peek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt gets to hear them, but I'll edit them out for you, the listeners.
Why can't you edit them out of your own life in reality, in real time?
Well, where's the fun in that? But
I don't know how you do that.
With the Stir Friday, I like that genre of joke where you think it's going to go, okay, this is the obvious one. Oh yeah, we do that. But then they make the joke that they didn't even think of the obvious thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I love a good bait and switch.
I'm trying to think, there's got to be an example of that.
The Office does it quite a lot when they're setting up like this story that you think, like, especially like Dwight. I noticed Dwight does it a number of times in his interviews when he starts talking about something that's going to happen, like the Wild Oats story, where, you know, his dad tells him to go sow his wild oats. And then he starts to explain the Schrute tradition of actually sowing real oats instead of the.
Yeah, they're not metaphorical oats. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. I think I might go through some of Archer, but it'll be a while because I'm still going through Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Yep. Which coming in 2022 at some point we will do a Brooklyn Nine-Nine episode.
Sometime. Look at that. In the future. We've already found it.
Unless you're listening to this from afterwards, in which case we already did one.
Potentially. Ha-ha. Greetings, fellow future travelers.
At this point, we could be 76 years old.
Wow. We really, we kept this up.
Or at least the podcast is still available.
We kept this podcast available.
There you go.
Look at that. It's a time capsule. The other thing I was going to say too, H. Jon Benjamin, you'd said exactly what I feel like. H. Jon Benjamin is just a tremendous voice actor. I love him. He's so funny. In Bob's Burgers, he's really funny. In home movies and old adult swim cartoon, he's really funny. There was like this little monologue that he had in home movies because he played a elementary school soccer coach. And so, you know, and he still played a similar like character that he plays, except for he's just a lot more of a loser in that one than like in Archer. He's suave. So Coach McGurk is like very not PC and doesn't know how to deal with elementary students. So he's talking to them about like seeing a dead body. And what they did was they took this little rant that they did, and in order to convince the producers, because the producers are like, we want like an actual pretty boy voice actor, which is a weird thing because no one's going to see him, but they're like, Archer looks good, we want a model that looks good too to be the voice acting. And the guy's like, no, it's H. Jon Benjamin, he has to do this. So he put that voice animation or that voice monologue from home movies, and he drew Archer delivering that monologue, talking to a couple kids about seeing a dead body. And after he drew that and put it towards like, this is what it would look like, the producer's like, oh, okay, I see it. Yeah, let's go with that.
Nice.
So thankfully, they saved the show.
Good deal. All right, Matt, I think it's time for you to visit Bayside.
Visit Bayside. All right. Well, I'm going to be completely honest. Going into this show, I fully anticipated that Saved by the Bell would be one of those, like, it's fueled by nostalgia, and watching it now would be like, ooh, this is painful.
Yeah.
And the story that they wrote for this episode was actually pretty intriguing. I liked the concept. So I watched the episode Cut Day, and the whole idea of Cut Day is that, every single high schooler had something in their high school where it was like this, where, ours, we called it Senior Skip Day. I don't know what you called it yours.
Senior Skip Day, yeah.
But they, at Bayside, they had, and it seemed like it was a yearly thing every year that they would do this. It wasn't just seniors, but every year that they had Cut Day, and all the students would cut, or as many would that wanted to. And so the principal kind of comes in at the beginning of the class, or at the beginning of the episode, and addresses them and tells them, hey, I know that you're going to go on Cut Day and I can't really stop you, but I just want to let you know it is going to be an unexcused absence. And if you accumulate 10 unexcused absences, then you get suspended. And there's one person in here who has 9 of them. And of course, that is Zach Morris, who has the 9 already. And so the whole idea turns into, well, Zach can't go on on Cut Day, because if he does, he gets suspended. And so everyone else is going to have fun and doing that. And Slater's like, haha, well, see you later, preppy. Yeah. You know what he calls it. He's like, we're going to go have our fun. And Zach is like, I'll be able to find a way. And so they kind of have this bet for $100 that Zach says, I'll be able to join you on Cut Day. And Slater's like, no, I don't think that's going to happen. And so the first class of the day happens, and Zach creates like this thing about like getting called out of class so he can go pay overdue library fines or something like that. And while he does that, he sneaks off to what is their hangout called? The
Max.
The Max, thank you. So he sneaks out to the Max, and he's like, all right, I made it. Well, better get going because I got to get back to class. And he's like, well, it's not cut class day, it's cut day. So you have to like cut all of the day. And so it ends up turning the bet into, if I can cut each class at a certain point in it and meet you up wherever you guys are at, well, they go to the beach that day, they go to the movies, etc. If I can follow you to each place, then I'm going to win the bet. So that's what it kind of turns into. So he has to keep one-upping himself and coming up with new ways to cut and new ways to get out of it. And so like he paints a curb red where Mr. Belding, thank you. What I almost called him Belvedere, and I'm like, that's not it.
It's a different show.
Oh yeah, Belding.
Belvedere, yeah. Belding is this one.
Belding, because Saved by the Bell goes ding. Got it.
Yep, gotcha.
So he, he gets Mr. Belding's car going to be towed, and he gets caught up with that. And so like it's kind of this cat and mouse of, because Mr. Belding also is on to Zach, and he knows the student that Zach is, and so he's like, I'm going to keep checking in on you throughout the day, make sure you're in your classes. So he keeps doing that, and he keeps kind of getting out of there. At the meantime, there's this B plot of the episode that does tie into the A plot eventually. But the B plot is Jesse is with, I can only describe it as the George McFly of Bayside High School.
Yep.
Because that guy, he totally like talked just like George McFly from Back to the Future. And I'm like, what are we watching? Is this actor related to Crispin Glover? So
this guy's a one and done. This is his only episode.
I figured that was the case. So that's what I had guessed. So I think it was like Ethan or something like that. But anyway, Jesse's hanging out with this guy named Ethan because he brings up at the school meeting at the very beginning, like his class council meeting or whatever, his concern about wasteful plastic cups that they use in the cafeteria and how it's hurting the environment. And so it gets Jesse on his side because Jesse does care about the environment, and she also doesn't want to see waste happen. And so they're trying to like stop this shipment coming in on Cut Day. They have a protest plan and all that sort of stuff. So Jesse is hanging out with Ethan. Meanwhile, Slater is hanging out with, is it Kelly?
Yes.
Slater's hanging out with Kelly on Cut Day, and they're having a lot of fun. And so it sounds like Slater and Jesse at the time were dating. And so Slater hanging out with, they're both hanging out with people that they're enjoying themselves with. And so the A plot ties in towards the end when Zach is like starts trying to realize what's going to happen, that Slater and Kelly are having a good time, and that Jesse might get jealous, but Jesse and Ethan are having a good time too. And so he kind of starts to play a little bit of goalie, trying to keep them away, and that ends up causing him not to be able to make that final skip as he tries to keep them apart, because he knows something bad's going to happen when they meet up and realize the other person is having fun with the other person. But they still end up meeting up anyway, and then they break up amicably, and then that's where the episode ends.
So a few things in this episode. Watching this, were you under the impression that Screech and Lisa were dating?
I mean, Lisa, you mean Kelly?
Lisa, the black girl who was hanging out with Screech.
Yeah, I guess I was a little bit. No, I guess I wasn't thinking that they're dating, but I thought that was like a pairing that the writers had. Well,
this episode is interesting because like Screech and Lisa have nothing to do with it. They're just like kind of in the background everywhere that Slater and Kelly are.
Yep.
They had nothing to do with these characters. The running gag in the show is that Screech is in love with Lisa, but Lisa is like not interested. It's like a Laura and Steve Urkel kind of situation. But in this episode, they're like hanging out together the whole time, and like no one's forcing Lisa to hang out with Screech. It was like that part was kind of lazy writing. Like we have nothing to do. Literally, we have nothing to do with these two characters. They're just off in the background doing that. And I like this episode because it shows the dynamic between Belding and Zach.
Yeah, I liked that. I thought that the contraptions they came up with for plot writing worked. I felt like the comedy was that of a bygone era. Comedy tends to change. Like I'm sure, sadly enough, I'm sure if we showed some people today, like for the first time, shows that we loved as kids, like Home Improvement or Everybody Loves Raymond, these classic comedies that are really funny, I think because the humor is so different than it is today, a lot of it would be lost.
Yeah, I agree with that. Even though some of those shows have great moments in them, like people won't appreciate them the way we do. But Belding, he's kind of has like the doofy dad syndrome, where he's kind of dopey and he's corny and cheesy, and he's the authority figure. But he also truly does care about the kids, and I think he wants to have that mentor role.
Yeah.
And occasionally he does. Yeah.
I caught that because it did really feel like, in a way that the students would be able to walk over him, but at the same time, like that they didn't walk over him to the point of completely rebelling, completely out of it. It's just like, we know that a cut day isn't the worst thing in the world. So if I can just escape the school for one day or whatever, it's not the worst thing that happens, but I'll listen to you on things that actually matter.
An episode that I almost gave you that really showcases that is there's an episode where Mr. Belding has like his cool younger brother showed up, and he's like got the long hair, and he talks to students like, hey, just call me by my first name and all kind of stuff. And the kids all kind of favor him over Mr. Belding. And then he's going to take the whole class on this big like adventure rafting trip. And then at the last minute, you see Mr. Belding and his brother are in his office talking, and Zach is overhearing this. So they don't know that Zach can hear him. Basically, his brother's telling him that, hey, I get this chance to go score with a stewardess, and so I'm going to bail on these kids and all that kind of stuff. And then Mr. Belding, not for his brother's sake, but for the kids, because he doesn't want to hurt them, kind of goes in and tells them like, there was an emergency, and like he can't do this, trying to save face. And basically, I don't know anything about rafting, but I'll take you on this trip. And then Zach kind of knows like, okay, we were underestimating Mr. Belding, but like he is there for us, and even though he knows nothing about this, he's willing to take us on this trip with us for us, which is cool.
Yeah. I was also interested in the Slater Kelly dynamic, because at first I thought they were dating, because they never clearly define until after they've already spent a good amount of time together. I mean, the first that we see of that behavior is like Slater teaching Kelly how to play pool, and so he's behind her, leaning over her pretty much. And it's like, you don't do that unless you're interested. So I thought, they're dating, or he's interested in her. And come to find out, he's actually dating Jesse, and so that threw me off for a second.
Early on, they did a little competition between Zach and Slater for Kelly, and then it kind of turned into Zach and Kelly are like the couple, and they get together and break up, and they eventually get married in the Vegas movie and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, Zach and Kelly are the main couple of Saved by the Bell.
Okay, and they're together in this episode.
I don't remember in the timeline. They might be. Honestly, if they are, they do a really bad job of showing them as a couple.
Yeah, because it's like she's getting hit on all day.
Yeah.
Slater's circling the waters.
There's also a chunk of episodes where they're all working at a beach club, and their boss is played by Ernie Sabella, who's the voice of Pumbaa from The Lion King, and his daughter, who's like the strict teenage boss, is actually Leah Remini.
Oh, nice. Um, the other question I had for you. So, what I get from the Zack Slater relationship is that they're friends, but they're a little bit of like the alpha male type of friends, where it's the constant one upsmanship and the competition sort of thing. Is that really how
Yeah,
they go?
you got it exactly right.
Yeah.
Until they get to the college years, which the show sucks, and they're just like, okay, they're just friends now. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, I think I would enjoy these characters. There wasn't any that I don't feel like I would enjoy Screech. I feel like a little bit of Screech goes a long way, and
Yeah,
even the little bit that we got in this episode
it can be a
was,
lot.
yeah, yep.
I haven't seen any of the Saved by the Bell revival that's on Peacock, but I do know they are doing an episode where they're bringing all the main five who are still alive back, and really they're going to do some kind of tribute to Dustin Diamond and like address Screech in the show as well.
Oh, did he
Since
die?
he died earlier this year, I think it was cancer or something like that.
Oh, I
Yeah,
know that
so
he had like troubles with the law, right? That he,
yeah, for a while he was kind of a jerk. He wrote like a tell-all book about Saved by the Bell, and he made he released an adult video called Screeched, and yep, that happened. That's a real
well,
thing.
no, I'm sure people were knocking down the doors to get their hands on that one, but
Yeah, but yeah, so Dustin Diamond did pass away, and so the other five of the main, they were all going to be guest starring on the episode because they're not all on it permanently, and they were going to do something about them talking about Screech.
yep. Did you know Mario Lopez went on to play Colonel Sanders in a KFC romance movie?
Doesn't, but if anyone is going to, it'd probably be him or Ryan Reynolds.
It's a legitimate like romance comedy about Colonel Sanders, like
That's
a
odd.
Hallmark movie type. I know it's so weird. I think it's on YouTube. I think you can find the full thing on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I again just dropping little chat, little casual things like that in here.
Mm-hmm. All right. So let's. Wait a second. What are you doing?
I'm just looking it up. I'm just looking
Okay.
up to see if it's easy to find or to because you can find the trailer for it. Maybe it's only like a 30-minute thing. It's on the Lifetime website. Jeez. That's life, you know. That's it. This is the world we live in now.
All right. Should we jump into trivia?
Sure, our trivia's finger licking good.
All right. So I have one about Saved by the Bell, and you have one about Archer. I think, right?
I did. Maybe I used it as my tidbit, the thing about the producing. I think that's what it was. Oh, no. I remember what it was.
All right.
Okay, well, I can
You
go
gonna
for
say
our
it?
because last week, by the way, our trivia for last week, what was it? It was about Bob. Like, what was the voice actor between
Yeah,
Bob's
which
Burgers
we've
and
already talked about. It's H. John Benjamin.
H. John Benjamin, who is the main character in Bob's Burgers, main character in Archer. There's actually in one of the cold opens for season opener of Archer, there is a Bob's Burgers with Archer dressed as Bob, like he was living there as the witness protection program.
Oh, huh. That's cool.
It was kind of cool, and they brought in like the voice of Linda. I can't remember who voices her, but they brought in her voice and some of the kids, I think, too. And then he just shoots up all these bad guys in Bob's Burgers.
I kind of like crossovers like that.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. If you like crossovers, you'll like the final like seasons of Archer because they keep doing these crossovers. Like they did Archer Vice. They did a Miami Vice season of Archer that is pretty much its own standalone season. But my question now is the character of Ray. He looks exact like they modeled Ray's character after a voice actor on the show, but it's not Ray's voice actor. It's a different voice actor. So which voice actor in the show did they model Ray's character after?
And then for my trivia, Saved by the Bell eventually spawned into Saved by the Bell the college years, and then they did the Wedding in Vegas movie. So in the Wedding in Vegas movie, they have only 5 out of the 6 who are main characters. Jessie is not really in that movie until the very end. She makes a brief cameo.
Mm-hmm.
So why was Jessie not in the Wedding in Vegas movie?
Caffeine pills.
Yep, those pills came back again.
Well, hey, if you have other suggestions for shows that we should watch, let us know. If you have ideas for episodes, let us know. If you like the content that you're getting, let us know. If you hate the content you're getting, keep it to yourself. But feel free to subscribe in whichever thing that you use, or just follow us on Facebook or Twitter, or we also have an email, and I can't remember what that is off the top of my head.
tvguyspodcast@gmail.com. You
That's
didn't
it.
forget.
It's really easy.
You didn't forget. In order to forget, you have to know it in the first place.
That's true. TV. Well, I always like mix it up because it's like it's TV Guy something. But well, that's it. So join us next week. I'm Matt.
I'm Brian.
Reminding you to stay tuned and keep watching.